Okay, so I probably could have just left that out of the middle, but couldn't help myself. So I need to hurry and get this in there before she starts to skin. Okay, so here's what we look like with the preliminary wipe. Alright, I was just wiping that with my gloved finger. So now we're going to come back with a moistened paper towel, moistened with mineral spirits or paint thinner. And we're getting some more drizzles. Dang it, here comes another dark cloud. Gotta hurry. Oopsie, I'm upside down. I hate when that happens. Well, we're in. So before I put the screws in, I filled the hole with the Gorilla Construction adhesive so that that area is sealed. And so here's what it looks like after I clean up with the mineral spirits. Pretty much perfect, I guess you could call it. I don't know if I will be that bold. So I left this undone because this needs screws in it. I guess I could have just put the screws in it now, but I wanted to get this thing in there. The rain was kind of messing with my head. I did get rained on after all. Missed that little spot right there. There's my mineral spirits towel. Here comes the rain again. It just wipes right off of there. Of course, I had to pick a dirty one. Okay. All right. So we have now an aluminum first step. You can see the rainwater dripping off the bus. I'm not worried about the caulk because this stuff is oil-based. So there's the underside. I wiped that clean too. I mean, it's pretty clean, right? I wiped off the screws. I'm going to come back later, cut those off with a hacksaw so I don't hurt myself crawling around underneath there. Alright, so we got that done. The next step is going to be, I'm going to have to trim the bottom of this piece of wood that goes here so that fits. Now that I got that in place, I know where that point is. And look at that rain coming down. Top will be fine. Oh, I do have to change the top too because I want to do a dovetail on the piece of wood that goes across the top, so the top will, oh geez, got some on me. The top will sit on the side pieces and not be able to fall through, right? But at the same time, the side pieces will be held apart. So it's going to be like a L kind of a dado thing I'm going to do at the top of each of the side pieces. Alright, so gonna have to call it quits for a little while here so this rain passes. It'll be quick. It's Florida, man. Let's take a look at the clouds. Yeah, it's just a little sun shower is all we got going on here. Alright, so we'll pick up our mess. Band-Aid didn't make it. I hate working with gloves. I had to take the glove off. I just could not work with it. And of course now my Band-Aid, my cut, gotta worry about getting junk in it. I mean, it's just a tiny little cut, but it's gonna heal slow because I keep tearing the damn thing open. All right. We're looking good here, man. Somebody's doing some woodwork across the street. Or maybe it's body work. Guy had a little accident with his truck the other day. Alright, so back on the door. It's Sunday, October 6th. And we made some great progress yesterday evening. So I've got these two door jamb pieces and the top preliminarily installed. Preliminarily final installed. How about that? Let me explain what's going on here and what the challenges are. So this piece has got a double angle on the back. We're at a full 3/4 of an inch on this side and about 1/8 of an inch on this side, and it's canted in slightly. On this side we're flat, but we're canted in. And here's the kind of messed up part. I took my level just for reference and I put the left side of the level down here, and then I marked with a pencil on the right side of the level right here, which actually that's the left side level, I'm sorry, like this. Okay, in order to get a level bubble. So that really means nothing because we don't, the bus is not going to be level. Plus the door leans in. It's further in at the top than it is at the bottom. But the reason why I'm doing this is to compare it to this side. Guess I should have got my tape measure. If I used my pencil as a gauge, that's like 2 and something. And I come over here and we're about 3/4 of an inch off, which is huge when it comes to hanging a door. So we're going to be about 1 inch off at the top. What that means is that this thing is twisted, right? Like this one is in more than that one at the bottom. And there's nothing I can do about it because that's the shape of the bus. I've got, I wanted to have these edges follow along the outside of the bus. And that's as big as a 1x6 in the middle, pretty much. All right. So the door is going to be pretty darn near perfectly flat. However, it comes out when I make it. And I'm going to be making the door on this concrete area right here, and however flat that area is how flat the door is going to come out. So I got 2 more pieces of redwood oak here, and I'm going to use this sample piece here. By the way, that piece of wood was cursed. Yep, cursed. I cut it twice wrong, long ways, and glued it back together, and then found that I couldn't use it for the left door jamb. And then I used it to cut the header piece. And there's the first one. I cut too short. It's a long story. So anyway, I'm going to have a piece of 1x4. I know this is not 4 inches wide over here. But I'm going to put this in here. And the plan is I'm going to cut this 1x4 at a little bit of a bevel to take the twist out of this piece. It's not twisted, but the angle that is. Alright, and I think I can do that on a 1x4. I don't know how tall my blade comes up on the table saw, but I'll get it close enough. So then I'll be able to have a flat surface here. And I'm going to do the same thing to this piece of wood that goes here. This one is off about 1 degree. It's really close, but I'm going to go ahead and trim it some. Don't let this little angle thing here mess with you. Turn it around. Okay. So here's the part I'm trying to figure out today. I want the front edge of this 1x4 to match the outside edge of the door. So that means we're going to have a difference of 1 inch between the bottom, where this goes, and the top. Which, if you translate that to both sides, it's a 1/2 inch on each side. And if I split that difference between the bottom and the top, that means it's 1/4 inch, I think. That's what we're going to try to figure out today. And hopefully get beyond this door jamb business. And then I'm going to get my final measurements left to right at the bottom, middle, top, you know, like 6 different places going up to see where we are. And I'd already double checked it's square in this corner and this corner, thank goodness. And the bottom is about a 1/2 inch low on this side. So when I make the door, I've got to make the door fit this slope. And the way I'm going to do that, the door is going to be made out of 1x4s, 2 of them sandwiched together. I'm going to cut all my pieces, and I come over here to the bus, and I'm going to put my 1x4s in here. Yeah, you can see, yeah, that's a square cut on the bottom of this piece. That's how crooked the bottom is. So we're going to put the pieces in there and use the floor as a guide for the angle, and then we're going to put the screws and the glue in the corner piece. You'll see better when we get moving along. But anyway, right now it would be really nice if I already had the door made and I could put it up in this hole, right, and have the door be the boss and help me to gauge where all this stuff goes. So the only thing I'm lacking to do that is I need the final dimension. I can't get the final dimension until I put these pieces in here and cut the angle on them to fit, because it's going to change the side-to-side space. The whole thing's been a catch-22 since the beginning, and that's why I've kind of been laboring over doing this, because, you know, it's not cheap buying this oak board. You might ask, why am I buying oak board? It's very, very rot resistant. So when I'm done with this, in my lifetime, I will never have to mess with this again. That's the intent anyway. All right, so let's get banging on this thing. All right, so I cut my 1x4s a little bit larger than I need to fit, and these are the leftover pieces from the 8-foot boards. So I'm going to use these as my gauges for how much do I need to, you know, put an angle on that piece in order to get a 90, so the door will have a nice square edge to fit, as well as same on this side but slightly less. And once I get those 2 things figured out, how many degrees angle I need, whatever, then I'll be able to take my measurements and begin working on the door. All right, so on this side, it's 4-degree angle across there to give me straight along the bottom. And on this side, I'm not going all the way out here because these screw heads are hitting, but okay, 6 degrees. And this dimension is where I've got to put the fence on the table saw in order to get the full cut. So the table saw blade, when it's all the way up, is a little bit short. It's about 3/8 of an inch short. So I just used a block plane and took that little lip off. These little pieces, using a hand plane was easy enough. When it comes to doing two 8-footers, I might flip it over and go to the other side of the blade and use the table saw to trim off at least most of the lip that's there. It's about a 1/16 of an inch high piece of wood that has to be trimmed off. Alright, so now we can start taking some measurements, double check our squareness, and I think we'll have everything we need to start making the door. Alright, so got my pieces cut left and right, and I trimmed the bottom to give me flush along the back, and I did the same to the top. So when this is all the way on the header piece, we're straight with the board. The back side here is the straight side. Did the same on this side, and I cut this little stick here to help me with the measurement, and it's just in there just snug, and you can see that I'm down a little bit here, and that's the tightest spot. So it's telling me, well, not so much telling me, but reinforcing the fact that this is the low side of this first step, and that is about how much it is. I've already checked it. So things are all coming together here. So that stick is the size of my door opening on the bottom. I wanted to duplicate this measurement further up, but I'm not going to be able to hold these little pieces and put the stick in there and get measurements. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut those 1x4s to fit now. So I'll have a little bit more to work with. Now what I do know is these boards are not perfectly straight. They're kind of leaning in at the top, both of them. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is, after I cut the angle on the back, I'm going to have to plane either the back or the top to make the board, these boards, a little bit thinner at the top to compensate for the crookedness of this door jamb. That's going to take a little time and some finessing, but I think it's going to be worth it. I want to do this as good as I can because it's very likely that there's going to be body flex that's going to make this door opening twist, right? And the straighter I get this door to fit in the hole, the more room it's going to have for the bust to twist. In other words, splitting the difference between the high and the low on all four sides. And I think what I might do, just for the heck of it, after I get the door made, I'm going to make the door just slightly larger, or maybe I'll make the door about the same size as this stick, which means the door is going to be too big. Then I'm going to plane these boards down to give me the right fit all the way around. That's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. That's a crap ton of work, but I'm going to do something of that nature. Maybe not quite so much making the door the same size as a stick, but giving myself maybe 1/8 of an inch of planing to do off of one or both of these, 1/16 off of each one, maybe something of that nature, just so I can be sure I've got a good fit. So I was just practicing here a minute ago how this hinge is going to go. Of course, it's not going to be all the way down here at the bottom, but I'm thinking we're going to put the hinge right here, as far in as I can go before it hits the knuckle, right? And I was taking a look at how much I can open the door. That's 90 degrees open pretty much, right? And I'll be able to go beyond 90 before the door comes around and hits. Oops, sorry. Before the door comes around and hits this point here. At the bottom, I'm able to do this pretty easily because this is being held for me. In the middle, there's going to be more overhang of the bus. So the door will contact the middle before it contacts down there. And I'm so far happy with what I'm seeing. I'm going to get plenty of door swing. It'll be beyond 90 degrees. And I will have to have some kind of mechanism to hold the door from swinging all the way open so we don't have a contact and do any damage to anything. It could do a lot of damage if you open the door on a windy day and the wind catches it. So, all right, let me go slow and steady here and see if I can win this race.